Hey, how's it going, everybody? JT here from the EVMavericks Discord and the Ethfinance subreddit. We are very glad to come back once again. This is our 22nd. This is happy hour number 22 for June 9th, 2023. JT here on behalf of the Ethfinance community on Reddit, and thanks to the EVMavericks for letting us host Happy Hour. As we do this every Friday. Give us a thumbs up, smash a bell on the YouTubes if you haven't already. Today, we are joined by Matt Finestone. Hello, Matt.
Hello, JT, Ethfinance, EVMavericks, and everyone. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, thank you so much. I had to ninja you into coming on to the show, and I'm just glad that you were able to carve out a few minutes of your busy schedule. I see that you made it home safe from wherever you were traveling last. Last time I talked to you, I think you were in a far-flung place for a couple of weeks with the team, and we're going to get caught up on all that. But before we get to you, Matt, we're going to go right into our opening statements here. The weekly Doots live stream is all about showcasing the best of the week from the Ethfinance community on Reddit. This is a read-along reaction series, and if you want to follow along, head to dailydoots.com, designed and produced by our very own Henny Abu. And while you're at it, go grab today's POAP. Big thanks to Turkey Troll Daily for capturing and curating all the Doots every day, and the OWL word or the A word for curating the weekly list. Hand-tested, hand-tasted, and mother-approved weekly Doots list. As always, if you know somebody, Matt, that includes you, if you know somebody who wants a piece of this sweet action, send them my way. And we're going to go jump right in. So if you want to jump over to dailydoots.com, we're going to go check it out right now. We're going to hit the morning Trinity, and we're going to do an announcement first. I forgot about this announcement. Ethfinance is considering participating in the Reddit blackout June 12th through the 14th in protest of their API changes. There's a thread listed at dailydoots.com for details and discussion on possible Reddit replacements. And we might use something like EVM Discord or kbin.social. We have a little bit longer conversation we're going to do after the show today. So if you want to stick around, we'd love to hear your voice on this important matter. And I'm going to give a nod to a fellow moderator from ETH Trader Days. Don't Blame Canada was the one who actually put the post on our subreddit. So they were reaching across the aisle, wanted to help contribute to the idea of joining ETH Trader and several other crypto subreddits in this blackout. So shout out to Don't Blame Canada. The water is under the bridge. Thank you, sir, for doing that. We decided to go ahead and make his post an announcement at the sticky number 2 position right on the front page of Ethfinance. All right, let's move right on to the morning Trinity. Hosselef, user Hosselef. There's a new username I haven't seen. Mentions Ethereum, thank goodness. And man in the crypto suit clocks in at $1,838, and Wolf Parking with the 0.069 on the ratio. Our weekly haiku by the everlasting person themselves, J.S. Tears. Go after Binance. Stomp down when you do your dance. Lead to no advance. Woo, spicy. Gary Gensler approved. And we're looking at the validator queue, courtesy of Space Cider. Your daily beacon chain dose. Pending validators joining 96,000 and only 100 or so leaving the queue. Wow. 96,000 validators joining. That is an absurd amount of ETH. The entry queue is up 900 from yesterday's number. The new entry queue all-time high. I think we're doing all-time high after all-time high the last couple of weeks or even more. It will take just over 45 days and a half for the entry queue to clear. In just under 24 days, the amount of daily validators that can both enter or exit will be increased from 2,025 to 2,250. These figures are based on the entry and exit queue at the time of posting and can be tracked by yet another website produced by Henny Abu, validatorqueue.com. Thank you, Hanny, and thank you, Space Cider, for giving us the synopsis. And now we're going to do our ship post of the week because we like to save the best for first. This one comes from Minimal Gravitas. Oh, dear gang. With all the drama around Binance and the price crashing, we're seeing a big spike in stakers pulling out their validators. The exit queue is up to 8 minutes. That is something, man. You got 90, how many was it? 96,000, Matt? Did it say 96,000 entering? And it's going to take 45 days to get in. Think about that. And if you're in, it only takes you 8 minutes. I mean, when are we ever going to see equilibrium on that? I mean, it may be a while. Incredible.
Yep.
All right.
It's
pretty
awesome.
wild. Yeah, go ahead. Did you have any thoughts on that, or what? This is just a mind blow because everybody and their dog was claiming, "Oh, this is the big unlock. This is where the ice flows like a river rather than a slow moving glacier." It's like, man, the glacier's receding. It just keeps building back. Incredible.
Right. Yeah. I guess I'm not so surprised. I bought into the narrative that this would de-risk it. It's another thing Ethereum ships, positive there, de-risked. So yeah, I think the Ethfinance community was ahead of the curve on that one, knowing which way it might go. And yeah, that validator queue site is beautiful. So thanks, Hanny. Really helpful.
Yeah, it is really helpful. And you're right. Ethfinance Daily. It was a pretty. I felt like there was. I didn't get the feeling that there was a ton of concerned trolls that were constantly hammering down the unlock stuff. I mean, there was a fair amount of level-headed people that were like, well, let's just see what happens, and there was another group of people that was like, I don't think it's going to be as bad as you think. And then there was another group of people, which I put myself in, was like, if you can get past and make it to where people can enter and exit at their own leisure, you just opened up a big amount of opportunity for institutions to go ahead and have a little fun in the sandbox. We got to find out. Yeah, I think the great equalizer of this and the thing that's going to usher in any changes in those numbers is going to be the price, right? So we'll see what the price does to all that. But we're not going to go all the way down the rabbit hole. You're here now. So if you haven't seen the show before, we always love to give you 15, 20 minutes and tell us all about what's going on in your world. We open it up for the guests in the Peanut Gallery on Discord to join the conversation as well. And then after that's done, we have 10 or so Doots top comments of the week. We'd love to have you stick around and be a color commentator for us. So if you're willing to do all that, that would be lovely. So let's dive right in. So after you got into Ethereum, what was like the first project of note that you were like totally immersed in, employed in, or even built yourself?
Right. Yeah. Thanks, JT. And again, thanks so much for having me. It's a pleasure. I'll definitely stick around for the color commentary.
Yes.
Yeah. As I said, I've watched this, so it's really cool to be on here. And thanks again, Ethfinance and the Mavericks. Yeah. So the first project, yeah, I kind of went straight to Ethereum. Everyone has those stories. Oh, I read the Bitcoin white paper, and then it clicked, and then I saw Ethereum. Like, I was more of 2016, a quick jump to Ethereum, and then I was working in finance at the time, and in 2017, just started writing a lot about Ethereum. I knew nothing, so it was like a way to learn. I was writing for a Canadian crypto exchange, a centralized exchange.
Quadriga?
Not not that one.
I was gonna, hey,
Yeah,
we found our suspect.
yeah. Luckily not there, because then maybe I would have been compelled to use it. But no, it was called CoinSquare, and I was just writing articles as like a contributor. Yeah, it was like subsidized learning. It was great. I'd write a lot about Ethereum, and then very quickly, just by perusing Reddit, if I remember correctly, maybe even Ethfinance, or I don't know how I found it, but Loopring.
Yes.
Loopring launched, and it was back then like financial in nature. It was a DEX protocol with order rings, like combinatorial order matching, kind of stuff that we're seeing these days come to fruition 5 or 6 years later. But yeah, it was Loopring. I got in touch with the founder, who now to this day I still work with in Taiko and the projects we'll talk about. But yeah, I got in touch with Daniel, the founder, and I just kind of contributed writing, and he's like, "Hey, you really like this stuff? Why don't you join us?" And that was my full beginning of full time in Ethereum, was the 2017 Loopring.
Wow, 2017. So to be employed, kind of Web3 for 6 years, you're a seasoned veteran. And there was a stint of time where you migrated from Loopring to another project, which was the GameStop NFT project, correct? And is, do
That's
you
right.
do you want to talk anything about that? What was your lessons there? What was your role there? I think you were the project lead, weren't you?
Right. Yeah. That was super interesting. That was in 2021, right at the peak of GameStop awareness. So yeah, GameStop wanted to start a blockchain unit. I guess GameStop NFT is like their Twitter handle, but it was just an effort to start a blockchain division with
Mm.
obvious overlap for things like gaming and stuff. So yeah, I was really for first of all, this is the first time I'm talking about this on camera. I was never allowed or on mic, like never allowed to talk about it in the context of like, a public company. So
Well, if
you
you,
got
we don't want to get you
yeah.
in trouble, but yeah, I mean, if the NDA is something that you burned a long time ago, let us have it, because I feel like now we got a Mavericks exclusive on our hands here.
Right. Yeah. I mean, no, I don't think I'll say anything too crazy, and it was all good things. But yeah, so I was with Loopring for 4 years, and then yeah, I was lucky enough that somebody who was at that point, kind of running or reshaping GameStop when all that happened,
It,
is a lot of
it was a
yeah,
lot of money flying around that company. I mean, it was like just incredible, the memes that were going on. I mean, that was like a perfect position for you guys to be in, was to, kind of ride the wave of that.
exactly. And so it just happened that so the chairman or the person who's in charge had the thought that, hey, maybe we could do something with blockchain. And I had spoken to him, and I was so excited that, wow, this could be the melding of two incredible communities, right? The GameStop
Yeah.
community that had bended reality, and the Ethereum community that had changed the world, and continues to. And so it was so exciting. I thought this was kind of my opportunity, or the opportunity, to really empower mainstream users with, right, like this is the GameStop community is acutely aware of some wrong things in the world of finance or the
Yes.
powers that be, some things stacked against them. So to think that they could harness Ethereum and kind of take control, self custody, was so exciting. So I left Loopring at that point to go start the GameStop blockchain division, with a view to build and empower their community in the realm of gaming, but even adjacent to that. Not obviously the gaming and NFTs, it's a contentious thing. Some people
Yeah.
love it, they think it's promising. Some incumbents there hate it, but um,
Yeah.
yeah, I thought it was an incredible opportunity, and I was there. We started the team. We ended up building it up to 40 people, a lot of great
Wow.
Ethereum engineers and stuff. And I was really proud of what we did, proud of the GameStop community. We built on layer twos right away in Immutable and Loopring,
That's right.
like a minting platform. We built a wallet, a really great non-custodial browser-based wallet. So everything we did was pure crypto, power to the people. Like really, right? That was their slogan, power to the players. How fitting for Ethereum. So I was just so excited. We did, in my opinion, some really meaningful work. We shipped some cool products, always non-custodial, always true to the ethos. But then ultimately, I kind of wanted to leave the corporate
Yeah.
world and the world of harder to move and go back to like Ethereum core
Yeah.
stuff. And
When I heard that you were doing the GameStop thing, I'm not gonna lie. In the middle of all the memery of everything going on with the super stonks or Wall Street bets on Reddit with the GameStop, and then it was like the fusion of blockchain and crypto and NFTs and stuff into that. I very much was thinking about the scene in Wolf of Wall Street when they're just having like total debauchery in the office. I'm like, it must feel like that euphoria, because you guys were very driven, like very driven to ship, and that was really good. Let's move to your new project, because this is pretty exciting, and I think we've got the letter ZK, and we have EVM. So for any newcomers that may not know exactly what those are, you could probably summarize that in 10 words or less, and then tell us what the mission is.
Okay, thanks, JT. Yeah, I mean, I feel like your listeners and the ETH finance community are like so educated on this already. Like they must be pros. Maybe they're even sick of hearing these five letters, but hopefully I could add some value. But yeah, so Taiko is a project that is a Type 1 ZK EVM. I have started it. I've co-founded it with the ex-co-founders of Loopring, so Daniel and Brecht, the guy who implemented the first roll-up when Loopring became a ZK roll-up to scale its order book-based trading. So it's a team of us that have kind of shipped roll-ups, that have operated roll-ups, and really love it. And we're really excited about like the next generation, not to sound cheesy, but like the new capabilities, right? Like back in the day, Loopring was an application specific rollup. You could do trades, then we added transfers, and then there's like, okay, when can we do everything our heart desires like we do on Ethereum? Like, right, deploy the contracts, maximal, generalizability. So now that became feasible with advancements in ZK tech, we were really excited to kind of take a shot at it. So what makes Taiko different, and again, I really feel like your listeners may know, and the ETH Finance readers, but there's a spectrum of ZK-EVM flavors. Vitalik has really nicely classified it as Type 1 to Type 4. On Type 1, you call it Ethereum-equivalent. That's where Taiko is, just to paint that picture. And then as you move out the spectrum, Type 2, 2.5, 3, and 4, you start changing more and more of Ethereum, either the EVM or surrounding parts of the architecture outside of the VM, but in state trees and other stuff. And you start removing those things in the name of making it more efficient to generate the ZK proofs or the validity proofs for your rollup. So you start, because Ethereum wasn't, invented with ZK optimality in mind, right? So some things are not, completely conducive to being proven cheaply in these fancy,
Yeah, it's not baked in. It's like not baked in. Okay.
Exactly. So we are on the extreme of Ethereum equivalent that says we want to not change anything. So completely EVM equivalent. You'll note the word compatible is out there a lot, but we max compatibility equals equivalent. So we don't change the EVM. We have all the opcodes. We actually don't even change the gas schedule, like the pricing of some of these opcodes, even though some of them are indeed more difficult to prove. And we don't change, like the state trees. We use Merkle-Patricia trees and all that. So basically Ethereum as is, and then we do the work to make the Ethereum as optimized as possible to be able to generate those validity proofs. And all this in the name of maximum the optimal developer experience, right? It's a popular thing to say, but if we could maintain, perfect Ethereum equivalence, that means developers could use all their tooling out of the box.
They could just
Their
jump
smart
in. They just jump in and go.
Jump in and go. And there's no edge cases. Again, a lot of our peers, other great teams in the space, there's talk of compatibility and you compile down, which are again like reasonable approaches, but there's always an edge case, some little cognitive overhead you have to have. Oh, maybe this doesn't work, or maybe I have to re-audit my code because something has changed. So like, yeah, just removing those edge cases and that cognitive overhead to know that everything will be as is. And besides, from the developer point of view for contracts and tooling, we could reuse Ethereum infrastructure because we maintain that equivalence. So Geth with a minimal diff, and in the future, like proposer builder separation, like we could be a based rollup, have L1 validators sequence our L2 blocks because anyway, there's a lot more there. I'll pause, but yeah, that's what Taiko is trying to be. As of now, it's the only ZK-EVM aiming for type 1. Our peers are further out the spectrum, which again have really reasonable properties and things to trade off. But we're really happy with like our trade-off space, and we think it's a valuable one.
So you're leading the pack in terms of having an equivalent style rollup, zero knowledge rollup. So no, you guys are the front runners. And for the listeners, just to recap, you and your co-founder were the ones that co-founded Loopring and you've been working in the space for 6 years. So this isn't like this is old blood in terms of Web3, and you guys have a lot of talent. You actually have, combined experience worth, many, many years in the space. So, wow. So what's next in your roadmap? I saw on your blog post, you just had a recent release or an upgrade. Do you want to talk about that? Or is there other things you would like to say about the road ahead and where you're going?
Thanks, JT. First of all, really appreciate you saying that we may bring something to the table. I think it's not even so much myself, but the co-founders, indeed, Brecht and Daniel. I mean, and there's another co-founder, Terrence. But I love these guys. I'm always quick to pump up Brecht, who's a very modest guy, but that's the guy that wrote or implemented the first roll-up on Ethereum in Loopring. It often gets overlooked, but back then there was no roll-up, and so I'm so grateful to be able to work with these guys, and I do think it's a nice advantage that we've deployed roll-ups, we've operated them, and hopefully that transfers over to Taiko being competitive and successful. But yeah, indeed, other great teams and our peers are all everyone should. Is going to be contributing to Ethereum in the rollup space. So I just want to thank you for that. But yeah, we did launch our Alpha 3 testnet 2 days ago. So it's a testnet. It's our third one, as the name may imply, and it's really cool because besides this Type 1 stuff, this ZK-EVM, it's like the core circuits, like the zero knowledge circuits, the programs that we have to make, like that's one kind of distinction. The other really cool thing, in my opinion, is that Taiko seeks to be permissionless from day one. So everyone here will know about centralized sequencers, which optimistic rollups thus far have run, and some ZK rollups are coming online now have I think signaled that they will start with a centralized sequencer, which again is a fine design decision. If you like those properties, you could have like fast pre-confirmations. I'm always quick to not
it's okay, down Matt. It's okay, Matt. We understand. We get you're a really nice person.
but it's important to us and important to the many tens of thousands of readers on Ethfinance of not having a centralized sequencer system. So it's really cool. Taiko the protocol is designed to be permissionless from the get-go. So permissionless proposers and permissionless provers, hopefully leading to decentralized proposers and provers. And indeed, in the first alpha testnet, we had 2,000 people propose blocks. So those are the people gathering L2 transactions, committing them to Ethereum. 2,000 people did that. And in the second testnet, 195 people proved those blocks, which is a bit more of a computational exercise. So a slight drop off there. And now in this testnet, both permissionless proposers and provers. So you could
Wow.
really just throw the blocks at Ethereum and prove them. And again, this has the nice properties of censorship resistance, liveness, and not having a centralized sequencer. So that's the other thing that we're trying to lead on.
Man, you guys are hustling. I always have been. Ne- never stopped hustling, man. I've been following you for a while, and yeah, really, really good stuff. I want to make sure that we allow the Discord a chance to have the floor if any of you have any questions at all for Matt before we move on to our weekly Doots. This is a great time to do it, and I'd love to hear from the room if anybody has any questions.
I'm sure Logri has some input, but before he gets to that, I just want to say this all sounds great. The EVM equivalency, being able to use all the same tooling, being able to have validators validate on Taiko as well, all sounds amazing. I just have one question. I was kind of doing stuff while listening. I might have missed it. How far along would you guys say you are in the process?
Okay, yeah, thanks for the question, Hanny, and the nice comments. We are so this test net. We think this will be like our now persistent test net because the others were deprecated. They're actually not upgradable. This one is upgradable, so it'll help persist. And we are looking at a Q1 2024 launch. So we're not the first. What we like to say, we're not the first ZK-EVM, but maybe we'll be your last. If we could, provide the properties that people are happy with. So Q1 2024. Yeah, the type 1 stuff is a bit of it's a beast to tackle. So we're in no rush, and that's what we're hoping for. Yeah.
What would you say is the biggest challenge that you guys have left with what's remaining?
Right. So, I mean, from what I gather, I may not be, know absolute all components of development, but definitely like the ZK team is hard at work, and there's still like coverage that is not there yet. So we work off the EF's PSE code base, the Ethereum Foundation Privacy and Scaling Explorations Unit ZK-EVM circuits. So we're contributors to that, along with other great projects, and we use that. And then at some points, we split, and some people optimize it for their designs. Some people, and yeah, we go our way with the type 1. So it's really a community effort with the PSE from the EFs. But so the ZK team is hard at work getting, all the different circuits. I mean, everything is open source, by the way, Hanny, and I know you're interested in all this stuff. So you could definitely take a look at the ZK-EVM components. But then there's also like there's the client team, which works on like our Geth fork with a minimal diff. So by the way, this is a tangent, but it's really nice. So we could use all these community. That's part of being type 1 is okay. We use and contribute to PSE. We use Geth, modified for our version again with the minimal diff. So yeah, the client work is still is also in progress. And then there's the protocol, right? The stuff that ties this together. How can we make it so that the protocol could mediate proposers and provers and attract right, proposers pay the protocol pays provers, trying to make that maximally efficient. So I guess I haven't really answered your question. I've just laid out the different pieces, the circuits, the client, the protocol. I don't know if one is like lagging or more, but yeah, they all have to kind of combine. Those are like the 3 sub teams.
Last question. You mentioned working off of a Geth fork. If as the protocol deploys updates, how long of a delay do you think you guys would have to implement them on your side? Should most of the updates kind of automatically be compatible because of how close you are and you're just pulling from upstream?
Right, that's a very good question. I'd be curious to ask our client lead, yeah, how we think about that, like timing and which ones we implement again. I guess as part of our equivalence aim, we have to be very cognizant of those. But I actually want to just put in the chat here. I'm not sure
So
where I can. I
in
want to.
public voice, where it says public voice, there's a little thought bubble
Yep.
there.
True.
And
Thank you, JT.
Yep. And another thing, if you could turn your speaker down just ever so slightly because it's causing a little bit of feedback.
Oh, my speaker. Okay.
Just a little bit. Just the tip.
Okay.
What link are you trying to post? You're getting blocked by a bot.
Yeah, I'm getting blocked. It's geth.taiko.xyz. Again, it doesn't purely answer your question, but it's like a diff. It shows our
Here I can share my screen. Geth dot.
There
I
you go.
actually love that. That's really cool.
Geth.
Yeah,
dot
this
what?
is really cool. The format actually comes from Optimism, like I believe fork diff. That's what's really cool is like, Optimism tries to aim for maximum ETH equivalence in an optimistic rollup framework, and they talk about their Geth client with the minimal diff, and then we do the same, and we could use their tooling that shows it, and then hopefully, I don't know if this makes sense, like we could use your great tools, your dashboards, that might be very in tune with Ethereum clients. Of course, we definitely want client diversity eventually with us. Like maybe we could even easily reuse the tools and dashboards that you make. Again, all in like the name like maximal simplicity and reuse instead of rebuilding stuff.
So that website, if you're joining on YouTube or didn't catch it, geth.taiko, Taiko.XYZ. And you can open that up and take a look. Good stuff. Anyone else have any questions for Matt? All right. Matt, any last words here, man, before we rock and roll?
No, thanks so much, JT, and thanks for the questions, Hanny, and like the interest at all. It really makes me happy to be able to speak about it. So, thanks, guys. Let's get into the Doots.
Let's get into the Doots, but also, Matt, you come by the daily anytime you guys got an update. You're welcome. I mean, we welcome the builders to splash out updates whenever you have them. You'll always get a little more traction in the daily than you will a top level post. But if you get a nice flashy video at some point, throw it as a top level post and throw it in the daily too. We want to stay in touch with you. And then as things go on, we'll get you back on the podcast again and continue the conversation about how you guys are making ZK-EVM so good for the world and doing it with the equivalency the way you're doing it and permissionless. That's important stuff. Good stuff for you, man. Great job.
I'd second that generally. We have members from Scroll, we have members from Arbitrum, like we have surprisingly sophisticated developers from various L2s that participate in the daily. So you're welcome to drop by and just connect with us.
Thank you, Logri. Appreciated. I'm a longtime lurker personally. So yeah, I've told JT. I think I used to contribute a little bit back in the loop ring days,
Yeah.
but now, yeah, if I don't have anything to add, I don't want to bump in. I'm a bit more shy there, but yeah, I'm a longtime lurker of Ethfinance, the daily. It's an incredible community. Not trying to flatter, but yeah, it's so powerful. It's the role model for any Ethereum building project to have that long, sustained, organic, knowledgeable community. Well, it really sounds like flattery, but yeah. So I'm a huge fan.
Well, stop lurking, damn it. We need you. Everybody needs you. You're just a gem out there, and I think a lot of people sitting in our chat here learned something about you. I mean, don't lurk, my friend. You're a leader out there, and we need leaders more than ever in these bear markets and stuff. So keep cranking out the code. All right. I think with that, we are ready to go. Is the A word here today? Is he going to tee these off for me? I can do it. Either way. All right, here we go. Nick Sorakish has a important PSA for stakers. Follow along if you like at dailydoots.com. Each staker published a blog post to do a call to action for the execution client diversity. Nethermind and Besu are ready for adoption in home operators, but also for large-scale staking operations, as Yorick Down, who's part of ETH Staker, notes. With his setup, testing for crypto manufacture. That's so cool. That looks a little German. Geth controls roughly 87% of the network right now. A bug would be a catastrophic situation. Say a bug happened where Geth produced an invalid block, most validators would follow it, and we'd have to resort to one of three choices at the social layer. Number one, penalize and slash 87% of validators. Number two, exit 87% of validators. Or number three, go with an invalid chain. Any option we chose would shake people's faith in the immutability of Ethereum. The first one would be a massive amount of capital loss. And this is just one of three types of bugs. The most unlikely type of a bug, a double signing event caused by a bug in Geth, would cause a total slash of 87% of validators. I mean, all of it. People running Geth would lose their entire stake. Super unlikely bugs, but we're ready for it. And I'm sure that Geth is ready for the people to take the pressure off of them. And that is, there's a link to that whole article right there. Thank you, Nick. So I see you in the chat. Thanks for putting that in there. And glad you could make the Doots this week. Anybody want to add anything to that? All right, we'll move on. Alexis Kef dissects the fake. Yeah, go ahead.
Say, sorry, JT. To
no,
cut you
you're
off.
fine.
I mean, that's a great post. But yeah, I mean, I feel compelled to, I'm here. I got to say something.
Please.
Color commentate. But I mean, that's a great post, Nix, and like the whole the ETH Staker community. Everything I just said about Ethfinance, ETH Staker, like so important. And I was watching this show last week or the week before with one of you called it a banger, JT, the community member who wrote that call to action about the Lido centralization, and then Fizz, brought that to maybe wider attention. But just a great effort for the execution client diversity. And I feel almost a bit bad talking about our Geth fork and maybe perpetuating its dominance, because that's something we're like acutely aware of, and wanting to speak to client teams, and ours, of course, much less important than Ethereum, but so what an important issue.
Yeah, it just gets more important as time goes on. I mean, those types of issues are never going to lend confidence in the space when so much is on the line. I mean, you gotta get all these things fixed. All right, so we'll move on unless anybody else has something they'd like to say.
Sure, I'll just say something real quick. I just think that people don't realize really how important it is, because if say the least likely or the least the catastrophic type of bug happened and it just led to all of those Geth validators being on another fork, what would happen then is that there would be a week or two where people are losing money on either chain, and they would have to decide, do we follow the invalid chain where 87% of validators are, or do we just gracefully exit them without penalizing them? Do we slash them in a method that's actually more in line with how the protocol is supposed to work? And that would really shake the faith in people's understanding of Ethereum as an immutable chain. It would be like the DAO hack, where people would be like, I can't believe they're rolling back the chain, even though that's not really what happened. But it would be talked about for years as a reason to not trust Ethereum.
Yeah, no, and almost deservedly so. I mean, that's the stuff we have to get past. Those little things right there, if you're looking at a risk in the traditional world, if you're looking at a risk assessment on an investment, are you really going to, flip a coin on something like that when there's just no safety net once that
You
goes.
know, I would say no, but the evidence that we've seen with how people invest their money in things like FTX makes me a lot less respectful of how like VCs and people with money
Sure.
actually do their due diligence.
Sure. Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. And it's not deliberate. It's not deliberate lying or anything. That's the only difference. I mean, it's just where the people swim to. It's all right there. It's just people are kind of sheep that way. It's not like somebody's setting up a scam, or setting up a fake investment because somebody at the top is lying about anything. It's just an unfortunate thing that needs to be. It's not unfortunate yet. It works as intended, but it needs to be addressed for sure. And nobody's going to take it seriously when you have that big of an elephant in the room who just ate like 15 bean burritos and we don't have any exits, right? So, all right. I don't know what that metaphor was. I'll move on. Alexis Keff dissects the fake orbiter finance drop. Alexis is a sweet person, met them at ETH Denver. Dissecting the fake orbiter airdrop announcement that user Dreth warned everyone about earlier on. Boy, I tell you what, 696, Alexis Keff has their emoji game on. You can watch out. He's coming for your job. Siren Bell, due to the major success of our Orbiter Pilots NFT series, we have decided to launch our token, $orb, skull and crossbones. Grammatically wrong, missing the, as in, quote, due to the major success, logically wrong, giving away tokens. When announcing airdrops, legit projects release extensive information on their token allocation, usually not multiple pages long, filled with all kinds of relevant information, not just a plain number. And they don't distribute their token to, quote, anyone who claims. I mean, these are all kinds of warning bells. This is like the poster child of these fake NFT airdrop things that have really stained the reputation in this last cycle. I don't even need to read the rest of it, but like the number keeps going up and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Anyway, and I'm sure there's probably a healthy amount of direct messaging going on. But yeah, thanks for the dissection of all the red flags. It never hurts to go over those things again because once upon a time it wasn't NFTs, it was ICOs. And that same, it's like they're just they're replaying the same game again. It's just a different call sign.
It's really wild how on your game you have to be constantly in crypto. Like there are so many people who think like, oh, this would never happen to me because I'm OG. I've been here for a few cycles. I know what's going on. But all it takes is like one rough morning or one like foggy day where you just click something that you didn't read.
You mean drunk NFT trading? How could you?
I have a rule that I'm not allowed to sign any transactions if I've had more than one beer.
There you go. That's sage advice. Put the pipe down. You can wait.
So we do shots instead.
We get really liquored up, right?
Only one beer. She's still in the clear.
That's right.
Well, not only all of that, but this is really a great example for those people who just are very new to the space. I remember a time where I quite literally didn't understand what due diligence meant. So him kind of giving these examples is kind of, it's a great format of like, these are red flags and this is what people mean by due diligence. This is what we mean by these things we should look into. Because when all the numbers don't add up, you should probably not connect your wallet to it. So I really appreciated it.
Yeah, I mean, the alternative to these types of posts is a type of post that says, oh my God, guys, I'm sorry. I feel terrible. I just got scammed. Let me tell you my story. And we see those in Ethfinance like once a month, probably. We see someone come by and we gather around the campfire and we listen to, the horrors that are in the night. The night is dark and full of terrors, right? Over time, hanging out, you kind of assemble this like warning list in your head, and that is what due diligence actually is. It's like a collection of wisdom from these horror stories that you've heard, that you've learned of, oh, if only I do X, Y, and Z thing, that's how I'll prevent this scam too. And in order to stay modern on that, yeah, Nick's is right. You have to constantly be on your game. You have to, like, if you step away for a few years, you're going to have missed out on some of those things. And then you're going to be vulnerable to something that you're not expecting. And you can be overconfident. And it's way too easy
There's
to get rugged.
the old saying, there's a sucker born every minute. That's what the scammers take advantage of. And in our community, we have teachers born every minute and students born every minute. There's never a shortage of these posts. I mean, we should be constantly putting it out there because we've always got we've got a constant trickle of new blood that comes in. It's like they need to be told, like, this is the most fungible money that's ever been created in the history of the world. They want it now, and they'll spin up click farms. They'll put 1,000 people on phones in the Philippines and just try to come for it. And if you don't have it, they'll help you buy it so they can come for it. I mean, it's that bad. And so these airdrops are just airdrop warnings, ICO warning. I mean, it's just nonstop. I mean, the motivation is there. We just have to be the volunteers to be the teachers. Unfortunately, it doesn't pay anything. So we got to keep that vigilance up. So thanks to Alexis for that post, and thanks for the A word for including it. I heard your voice down there. Are you going to tee these up, or are you driving down the road somewhere? A word. He must be driving. If you're down south, if you hear banjos, paddle faster, my friend. All right. We will move on. Let's go straight on down the list at dailydoots.com. Ethical Trade has made a proper document on the dire Lido situation. Thanks a bunch for signaling your support to prevent Lido from harming Ethereum's decentralization yesterday. I'm glad to see that this problem is as important to you as it is to me. I've gathered all the information we've shared so far in a Google document that AutoMod prevents me from sharing, so here's a PDF. Yeah, sorry, but we blocked Google Docs. But we got your PDF. Thank you. Feel free to add comments wherever needed, and let's start fighting for this. Edit. I also tweeted the doc with a new hashtag LIDON'T, or LIDON'T. Some people say Lido. I might be saying it wrong, which has its own logo in the doc. The document contains quotes from Hani Abu, user Ethereum, and user Minimal Gravitas, all bangers, community members right there. So the PDF, I'm going to open it up on the stream briefly here, so folks at home can take a look at it, or if you watch this on YouTube later on. Wow, look at that. We got the Lido situation with the chapter contents here. You can make not edits, you can make suggestions for edits, I believe. So this is a big paper. Good job, y'all. 15 pages, and it's got some graphics and stuff like that. I want to review this later on. Wow, nice catch. Great job. I'm so glad that Ethical Trade made a Daily Doots. By the way, I didn't go over the top dooters of the week. Let's just do that real quick, because Ethical Trade actually is getting really close to the 50 mark. Starting at number 10, Real John B. McElmore is tied with number 11, Set One Less. Number 9, Scientist. Number 8, Swagdamus Prime. Number 7, 696 ETH. 696 is climbing fast. Cryptocurrency at 47, Ethical Trade at 48, K-Brot at 56, Tricky Troll at 60, or Logri the Bard at 63, and the almighty Superfizz sits across the top at 110 appearances on the Doots. Okay. Anybody want to go off on that Lido post? That was really, really well made. Anybody contributed to it? Have any thoughts? Would love to hear you.
I'm just happy to see there's a more initiative to stand up against Lido, because we really need more participation. It's hard for a few people to really make change, but as others step up, it opens up the surface area of the different initiatives that can be tackled. So if you're somebody that has been on the sidelines and thinking about participating, a great way to do that is just hop into the EVM Discord and ask, what's going on, where can I help out with? Let them know your skills, what you're capable of. You don't have to be, some big brain tech guy to help out. There's a lot of stuff that's literally just writing and gathering information. and putting documents together, maybe organizing what other people are doing. There's a lot of low-hanging fruit where you can participate.
You never know where it goes. So I've always said, don't ever underestimate what a very small, very dedicated group of people can achieve. And even to the effect that they may not understand that the things that they build are directly from beginning to end where the document ends up. It might be that we just have this dedicated community that puts pen to paper to where a big fish in an ivory tower somewhere says, look at this. There's your discovery right there. You've done the legwork for them. You're now like published. You could be, you never know where it could go. So just keep taking notes and keep contributing wherever you can. It matters.
One, really echo that, and this is a great document. Maybe the hashtag is what we needed here. Lie don't. Yeah, but I like how it starts. It says it's good to note Lido isn't a bad actor. I mean, I'm not the most knowledgeable about this. Maybe people would have different opinions, but that's a nice way to approach it, right? The good actor that has grown too big. Again, I know that might be a controversial topic, but they voted to not self-limit the DAO. And like when you think about self-limiting, I could understand that some people think it's perverse. Could it send the message that, oh, you don't want to start a business on Ethereum because if you're too good, too dominant, you're gonna have to self-limit, and so that means we won't get the most like competitive, whatever people solutions. Like pure capitalistic people say, oh, I want to grow the biggest business, and Ethereum is the way to do it. So I don't know. I guess it's just a remark on the tension, but we have great precedent, like with Prism, right? That self-limited and did not hurt their prospects. If anything, it increased it, right? It gains favor with the community, and they remain a leader. So I don't know. It's just a note that the self-limiting it has to happen. I'm a unbridled proponent for that. How do we do it so we don't send the vibes that this is not a place to come build solutions for a global market and really succeed. I think that maybe just a counterpoint to control that narrative, but you could say, hey, the self-limiting actually makes you on a longer term, because things, I think actually somebody here mentioned it as well, but like the actor in question may change their tune once it's clear that they have to start decentralizing, or people like, right, let's say it happened really suddenly that people started leaving, then they would change their tune, and then would some people not leave? So you kind of have to like fast forward a 10-year glance and be like, what? It's like it's path dependent. Did they self-limit before people started leaving, or did people start leaving then they self-limited so people didn't trust them? Like if you could have a crystal ball and see how it all plays out, self-limiting might be the optimal strategy. So maybe that's a part of the education that we could do.
I'm thinking more about it from a tokenomics perspective. Is there some way we can vampire attack or financially incentivize, or what negative incentives can we add on those actors as an ecosystem? Right, carrot and sticks. So could you say, well, go ahead and deposit your wrap staked ETH into this contract, and if Lido's share gets over 33%, then it will auto migrate funds in that contract to RPO with some type of bonus or something, right? And just kind of put like a incentivized vampire attack that only triggers if certain conditions are met where they're not, fully decentralized. Like the idea of, oh, we're going to automatically self-limit. Part of that is just that there isn't a clearly defined way of what does that mean. We're going to stop taking ETH? Probably not, right? Are we going to like claim a higher percent of fees? Maybe, but we don't want to do that before, that we don't want that to affect our business strategy, right? So I think that there's things that you could try to vote on through the DAO in order to clarify what it means to self-limit. And then there's other things you could do external to the DAO. So maybe those rocket pool guys who, the ODAO, they're getting their share of RPL token issuance, could put up an RPL bond and throw it into this vampire attack contract and say, oh, if Lido gets to 33%, then we'll automatically swap your wrap stake ETH over to our ETH, and we'll time lock it for X months and pay you out RPL while it's time locked, right? And create a kind of arbitrage loop in order to sort of self-drain the Lido balance. Just something along those lines. Maybe some like Coinbase would do something like that as well, like or Stake DAO, or take your Stakewise, excuse me, or take your up and coming competitor that they have issuance and they want to use as a marketing budget, and this would be a very well received kind of automatic marketing budget ploy, right, to protect the state of the network and get users that otherwise wouldn't be your users, right, with minimal expense, because it only triggers under certain conditions, right? I just think about this from a tokenomics perspective. What can you do as an ecosystem rather than saying like, let's just do it culturally and say please, right?
Very good.
That seems like a nice method as well. If you could do that, yeah.
I saw Austin blinking up there. Austin, are you wanting to say something, my friend?
Yeah, I wanted to say that there is actually an effort underway to do exactly what was just mentioned. Basically, this vampire attack. If you take a look at you have access to the Discord here. We have the Lidon't channel, and it's kind of being done as a collaboration with some Rocket Pool folks. There's a channel on their Discord. It's like under their trading channel. It's one of the smaller things that broke out called Vampire. We've got a smart contract development underway. It's in basically a working state right now, the front end. So anybody can deposit ST-ETH, and the contract has functionality to use Lido withdrawal functionality to convert that ST-ETH back into ETH, withdrawing from Lido staking. And then the contract can also deposit that into the Rocket Pool deposit pool in exchange for RETH. So,
wow.
So in user perspective, you deposit ST-ETH, you get RETH, and along with that, you get a Lidon't token. It's kind of probably a meme token, not necessarily going to have any value, but it kind of acts as a little bit of an incentive.
Now just get the ODAO to juice it with RPL rewards, right? Take that same contract and then have a marketing budget that comes out of the ODAO's inflation.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
And then take your provider of choice, right? So don't just make it RPL. Say like, oh, now we have a Stakewise plug, right? And anyone that wants to convert Lido users because of network health, because this cause is gaining traction, has an economic incentive or economic lever to do so.
Well, there you have it. Damn. Awesome. I think we'll move on, or unless anybody else has anything to add to this recursive algorithmic loop arbitrage Lidon't token talk. You guys are big brains, man. I'm in awe. Keep rocking.
I got something to add real quick, JT.
Algo's in the house. Go ahead, man.
Oh boy. So I'm from listening on here. An idea of kind of along the same lines as Balancer that takes all these liquid stake tokens in, and the contract also looks at the shares between all of them. The network health of how much is in Lido, how much is in Rocket Pool, how much is in Frax, Coinbase, or whatever it may be. And depending on the tokens that go in, it can do automatic rebalancing in the way of withdrawing or unstaking from, the unhealthy majority and automatically putting it to the healthy minorities behind the scenes, while also offering a way for swap fees to be earned at the same time, on top of liquidity mining as well through like Rocket Pool, Frax, whatever it may be. So it's a combination of all those kind of ideas. You got your liquidity for trading, you got automatic staking as well, automatic rebalancing for helping ensure or increase the health of the whole Ethereum network, right? All at the same time. We're all wrapped together in one nice little bow. I think something like that would be pretty interesting. All together in one big old contract or set of contracts, whether it be with a nice clean interface for anyone to use. You drop in any ETH or liquid staked ETH derivative, whatever it may be in there. And all behind the scenes, it does all this. But the user gets, a LP token representing their deposit that gets both staking rewards, both liquidity mining incentives, and swap fees all together in one. I think that would be something interesting to look into.
That would definitely be interesting. I'm thinking about if you're doing with the LST itself, then there's price deviations in the peg, and you could game the timing of it because there's this forced selling action. So you have to be careful about stuff like that. But in premise, I like where you're headed. I also, whatever happened to, weren't the EVMs trying to become an ODAO member? Whatever happened with that? No one here knows?
I don't have a
That was a
soundboard
thing,
with
right?
crickets, or I would have played it just now.
Like, that was a thing, right? Like, we...
Yes.
Okay. Just
Yeah.
no one has the
To some
stats here.
extent-
That's fine.
I'm sure
To
it's
some
more
extent, that
robust.
initiative has kind of been on hold because the ODAO itself is undergoing some significant structural changes. Like Rocketpool is trying to change how much RPL they give to the ODAO, what the ODAO responsibilities are going to be, and so kind of waiting for that turbulence to pass.
Which is a good idea, in my opinion. There's definitely some changes that needs to be made, especially with how quickly Rocketpool has been growing, that stuff should be done sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
And
Good.
there was also a limit. This is Jack. There was also talk in their proposal of even limiting the number of ODAO members, and because we're trying to not have the ODAO have so much influence. Not we're trying, but they're trying to not have the ODAO have so much influence. Be so centralized. So there's a lot of that talk. So just a lot in flux was kind of what slowed it down.
Well, if we ever become an ODAO member, that would be like what we're just discussing would be a great use of the RPL inflation that we would receive as a community, right? I'd vote for that. Just this like vampire attack contract, juice it.
JT, addition to my crazy idea.
Yeah.
Then you also, with your massive pool of liquid stake tokens with automatic rebalancing, liquidity mining, and staking rewards on this inside of it, you then fork liquidity and you create a over-collateralized stable coin with those liquid staked tokens as your collateral on top of that. Liquidity already is currently just based off just ETH. Why not increase that and add all these liquid stake tokens into that to create a over-collateralized stable coin lending service as well?
You're talking about Gravitas. We had them on like a week or two ago, right?
Oh, there's everything like that?
Yeah, they were on maybe the previous CVM call or the one before that.
Algo, I want you to do something right now. I want you to right-click on Logri the Bard's name and add as a friend. And then I want you to go find like a cabin in the woods for a week and write that shit. Because you both just met an awesome person today that could definitely like put some of this together. Austin also, I mean, there's so many people in this chat that you guys could thread a pretty good needle. I mean, what if Lydon't took place and actually flew somewhere because you guys created a method to like poke the bear a little bit, It'd be kind of fun to see. At least get them wiggling, figure out, oh, well, okay, somebody figured out a vector here. It's worthy, I think they're just kind of free market players, but they're running it like they don't mind being a monopoly of the whole damn network. If they become a runaway train, that's unfortunate. A little bit different situation than the Geth situation, right? So now you got two massive situations, but they can both be changed. One of them can be just by pure education, and then the other one could be, like you said, like a vampire attack and threading all the money Legos together to where it makes a difference. I'm going to move on, if that's all right. It's already noon o'clock where I'm at. Stablecoin educates us on the Gnosis chain validators. I won't read the whole thing. I do want to read the beginning and the end. I have to give my public support for Gnosis chain after a few posters recommend I run a node on my spare staking PC. Look at this guy flexing. He has a spare staking PC. Amazing. You can spin up a validating node with just one GNO token. It's the base token for the network collateral staking, but funnily, you need X DAI to pay fee. So make sure to also transfer $1 worth of DAI into your deposit address. You can stake like a whale too if you wanted. For about $7,500, you could run 64 nodes. That'll probably net you a 10 to 20 block reward per day. Yield is around 16%, which is just high inflation rewards. And so far, there's nothing in block rewards because transactions are too cheap. And there's no MEV boost, I don't think. Gnosis Chain also hasn't had their withdrawal fork yet, so you're locking up a little bit longer than ETH right now. But there's no entrance queue either to earning. And then the last paragraph, if you're curious about staking at home or looking to enhance your own Ethereum node operating skills, running a Gnosis node is like training or studying using real money. For me, that always forces me to take it seriously and enjoy the process more. In addition to leveling up my own skills, you just get a good feel for how the clients interact with each other and also how well your node links up to the network and other nodes. If you really mess up, then you're only out about $116 per node rather than $60K. Plus, you're helping to decentralize transactions on a low-cost Ethereum-aligned EVM sidechain. This further broadens the reach of the EVM smart contract developers and gives you something constructive to do during crab season. Visit gnosis.io and a longer post at Somersat? I don't know how that summeresat.medium.com. Very good. Anybody want to chime in on that? Say that again.
It's Someresat.
Someresat. Thank you. All right. We'll move on. User Toby covers the Reddit API pricing drama. Hey, this is my boy right here. Y'all probably heard about the Reddit API pricing drama. But for those who didn't, Reddit is getting greedy and is going to charge a ridiculous amount of money for the use of their API, therefore driving third-party clients out of the business. There's not much information about who will have to pay for what, etc. But assuming that every API request will have to be paid for, this calculation... this is the calculation I'm making for the Knitter Not Twitter bot. So Knitter Not Twitter bot is a bot that reposts tweets that land in the daily or in the subreddit as Knitter links. Says that'd be 12 requests per hour, 288 per day. He's doing some math here. About $25 for 106,000 Knitter bot requests per year. So that's $25 a year for running a very small bot at 12 checks per hour instead of the current 360 checks per hour, which would be insanely costly. I can afford that without a problem, assuming Reddit will offer packages that small and at the same price. But this still shows how insane the API pricing is. And then this links to thinking about joining the protest. If you go to Ethfinance on the front page, second sticky down, we have a conversation going about our protest and whatnot. I think what I would like to do is maybe after we get done with this call and I shut off the live stream to YouTube, it might be good for us to do a little roundtable here on Discord if you guys are open for that, unless you want to go over it now, because there's really two things at hand. The number one thing at hand is if things really do go to hell in a handbasket on Reddit, then we're all going to be looking for a new home. So this little current blackout protest thing, there's a 2-day thing is the other issue. So we have two things. Number one, do we want to participate in the blackout? And then number two is at some point, if we have a good alternative, we might be packing up the Winnebago and moving west. So I just want people to muse on that for a little bit while we continue the list. I want to make sure we don't go too late, and I do want to hear what people have to say. We good? We'll move on then and just put a pin in it for the live stream portion. Okay, thank you. Let's go on. So K-Brought, and this ties into the last post. User K-Brought, freaking legend. I saw him in the chat. Yeah, he's in the chat. Beautiful. K-Brought sets up an awesome Reddit alternative for us. All right, well, here you go. Our own little Reddit alternative. Welcome to EVM Lemmy, our home away from home, and we take down Reddit on the 12th. See below, then play around, make some shit, post some shit. I'll polish up the shit as we go. Remember, I have never adminned a site in my life, so anything and everything is subject to me trying to fix an issue and accidentally deleting all our data. So yeah, screenshot anything important anyone says. Some caveats. Obviously, you'll notice it's on HTTP, not HTTPS, because I can't get the damn SSL cert to work. On and on. The TLDR here is the servers are hard. Y'all need to be paid more. And then you can look at it on Reddit. And in the meantime, find our Ethfinance alternative at kbin.social/m/Ethfinance. Thank you for putting your hat in the ring and trying to produce something that we could at least speculate and look on. I will say, as a moderator, the API thing, there's two important tools that we desperately need to not be affected by this API thing. And I'll just say this and then we'll move on, is Reddit the moderator toolbox is invaluable. There has been signaling that moderator toolbox will be fine for now. But moderator toolbox is super handy for us to be able to take notes on users, to be able to look at the queue and all these other things in a lot better way than the Reddit native tools work. And then the second thing is Reddit Enhancement Suite. Without Reddit Enhancement Suite, and I haven't looked to see if this is affected, Reddit Enhancement Suite is exactly how we keep the Doots going. That's our tool for calculating everything. Every single one of those people on this ranking here, each one of those numbers is a single click from my finger. So I have made a change to Superfizz 110 times using Reddit Enhancement Suite. It goes on and on like that. Their tagging system is amazing. So it's like kind of a group effort to keep the Doots going. But the Reddit Enhancement Suite is super vital to that. So let's just, we'll talk about it more on Discord after the live stream, but it's going to, if we move to a new community, then we're going to have to figure out the tools to help keep that, thing going, because it's a labor of love for a crack team of about 10 of us to talk about and calculate and do, and we want to still do it. It's just the tools, if they become too cost prohibitive for us to do it on Reddit, then I guess we'll have to figure it out. Maybe this is a Mavericks DAO thing. Maybe we could pony up some money. I don't know how this works anyway. I'm going to move on. Austin ST shares a recent ETH research post about beacon chain security. Austin is an amazing person. Met them in real life. Super big contributor. New ETH research post by Mike Neuter, Francesco Diamato, Aditya. I'm not even going to try it. I can barely say Justin Drake, but I see that. See their notes on security. Summarizing briefly, here we go. This change would keep the 32 ETH minimum for a validator, but increase the maximum by some factor, possibly 64x to a max of 2,048 ETH. Probability of selection for various duties, for example, sync committee, would be weighted based on balance. Operators running multiple validators would not have them aggregated forcibly, but could opt in to have their validators merged. Austin, are you still on the call? Because I need you. No, he's not.
Yeah.
You are. Can you put this into and explain like I'm 5 or like I'm 50?
Yeah, so you've got two validators. You have 64 ETH, right? Yeah. Right now you need to split those up over two validators. With this new proposal, you could instead just run a single validator and have that validator have a balance of 64 ETH, but otherwise everything would be the same. You'd still get the same amount of proposals as you would with two separate 32 ETH validators. And in fact, it would allow for a more continuous compounding of ETH. Right now, if you have two validators and you've earned a couple more ETH, that's not enough to spin up a third validator. And that extra ETH just is sitting around not earning anything unless you get an LST or stick it in DeFi somewhere. But with this new proposal, if you stuck that in and went up to 66 ETH, then you would get proportionally more rewards. So it makes things simpler. It reduces the computational load on the beacon chain just because there are fewer validators total, which means fewer signatures to have to deal with all the time.
Is
seems
it
to make a
easier
lot of
on
sense.
hardware though? Also, does it change anything about your local machine, or does that not factor in?
The big thing I think might be bandwidth. I asked about this in the ETH research thread. Generally, as you get more validators, your bandwidth costs kind of ramp up because you need to start listening to more subsets of the peer-to-peer network. But if you just have one big validator instead, it could reduce bandwidth requirements. And that might be a big deal, especially as we start getting dank sharding, proto-dank sharding, and extra data blobs floating around. I know bandwidth is a big deal for a lot of home stakers.
Fantastic. Excellent. Well, thank you for bringing that to the sub's attention. That's an interesting proposal. Okay, so we'll move on. Harog, I hope I said your name correctly, is feeling quite positive on Ethereum. Oh, I love this. Okay. I'm feeling quite positive on ETH and Ethereum. The most powerful government in the world goes on a full frontal attack on the largest centralized exchange in the world, and the overall crypto market cap drops by less than, gasp, 5%, and is now down only 3.5%. Price fluctuation wise, this is just a normal day in crypto. It looks like most people who are non-believers or are overinvested left or reduce their investment. Second bullet point, every time the SEC does not call ETH a security, it will get harder to claim it being one later on. Kind of like the Lindy effect. Bullet 3, many Alt-1 coins have been called a security now. I would prefer if the various approaches to building a modern blockchain would compete on a technical level and not a government restricting new entrants in the space by relative, arbitrary, and archaic regulations. But all in all, this is positive for Ethereum, as I think the number of new, quote, Ethereum killer, end quote, VC chains will go down. Bullet 4, making it harder for newer chains to do an ICO could end up being extremely positive for ETH, as projects will think hard on how to secure their chain, and probably a roll-up settling on Ethereum using ETH as the payment token will be the way to go for many of them, the only way to go, in fact. For other non-roll-up types of projects, they will have to find a way to secure their project without issuing tokens. Here comes EigenLayer. EigenLayer? Eigenlayer. Hey, can we also, is it Lido or Lido while we're at it? Oh, listen, the room.
Lido reminds me of pedo, so no.
So,
yes. So the word Lido.
Oh god.
The word Lido is the party pool deck on a cruise ship. So the way that they say it when I was on the cruise ship is at least is Lido deck. They probably know more than I do.
Okay. We'll continue the debate, and then when we get the answer, we'll make an image in the form of a GIF. All right, we'll move on. These are I knew I was going to get you going. By the way, Algo's he's a friend of ours. Actually, I see Super Synapse Tuesdays and Algo in here from the Palisades group. Glad to have you, gentlemen. These are uncertain times. I have no idea which branch of the U.S. government lashes out and attacks crypto next, but I am just feeling positive about the non-reaction of the market and the future ahead for Ethereum. Yes. All right.
Nice.
Anybody want to chime in on that? We got a couple more left. All right. Thank you, Haruk. Canezilla. Go ahead.
One comment on that, maybe. First of all, I completely agree with that, and often I feel weird, like I live in a parallel financial world or something. It's like all this uncertainty. Some people might ask, "Oh, I see crypto. This guy's getting sued, or that one," and they think it's bad. But I'm also just feeling very positive about it. It's like, some real dissonance versus what people perceive versus, oh no, never been more bullish. Well, that's always the case. The other thing, I really agree. don't want to compete on a government like restricting level. So this poster is, and I don't know Horog, but they're aware, like, you don't want to win because, oh, you got in early and now they've like, pulled up the ladder and there's no mechanism to like be sufficiently distributed like at inception of a network. So I agree with that. But then so like the next point though is maybe opposite to that, making it harder for new chains to do an ICO. I have this maybe controversial take. I think the ICO might be better than the path that we're currently going, which is everything privately funded. Like he says it up top, right? So the Ethereum killer VC chains. So like, I generally get this, but it's slightly, I have a hard time because Ethereum is like the best capital formation tool the world has ever known, in my opinion.
Yes.
We saw that power in 2017, taken to weird extremes and human greed and craziness. But is it better now that like it's all private and you got to be KYC'd and an accredited investor, and then when you need the community either to participate in certain things or just to widely distribute it, they get in later. I would prefer to be able to use Ethereum as a capital formation tool right away versus the trend it's going now.
To your to piggyback on your point, when I'm shitting on ICOs, I'm shitting on bad actors with the ICOs. Like ICOs did an enormous amount of good bringing money from people who were not accredited investors. You could get in on a project for under $100 or whatever, or even less than that. And so there was a little bit of a magic there about people who are like completely unbanked. If they could figure out a way to get some crypto, they could at least partake in the early days of a formation of a company, like you said, without having to pay a middleman broker to do it. And you make good points there about the nature of the ICO is actually a very good instrument if you really think about it.
Exactly. I want to be clear. I agree. 99% of them were crap or malicious, but I don't think we're not preventing that. Yeah, just coming to market via another means. The VCs aren't the most, like, I don't know, this like the most judicious judges of like what to bring to market, right, and then sell it later. Like, I don't think we're getting rid of the either outright scams or some of the garbage. So I don't want to like, I'm not a complete proponent of just that, but I don't know if the way we're going removes the scam. We saw earlier there's still scams going on in airdrops, right? Because now the market is conditioned that airdrops happen, so there's still scams and bad actors. It's just now been like perpetrated differently. So anyway,
good. We'll rock and roll. This one is it's long. I won't read the whole thing, but boy, I like reading stuff that's about speculating on the SEC. Canezilla speculates on the SEC's plan. This isn't designed to be FUD, but rather to be realistic about what I expect to happen. So just to be clear, I expect this plan to fail at some stage along the way because I think they let it run too long and it's likely no longer stoppable. Bullets, here we go. The SEC is not governing in good faith. They're definitely orchestrating an attack on crypto. Next bullet. With the fact that they're acting with the intent in mind, consider the recent lawsuits against Binance and Coinbase, specifically the parts regarding securities. Some in here believed that it was a positive sign that Ethereum wasn't named. It is not. Next bullet. The SEC's problem is that if they try to get Ethereum declared a security right now, they are very likely to lose. The lawsuit. Their game plan in this case is to go after other coins, especially ones that are in fact much closer to a security. And after securing a win on these, they intend to try to use that to nail Ethereum next. As soon as they lock in any victories on similar assets, they will try to use this as a support for attacking Ethereum. Bitcoin users aren't safe either. I'm pretty sure as an additional facet of this plan is that any coins, including Bitcoin, that use proof of work mechanisms will be targeted by, quote, green, or environmental legislation designed to shut them down, making them illegal. They can't attack those via the SEC, so they're going to try co-opting environmental legislation to shut this side down. With these two prongs, both proof of stake and proof of work assets will both be covered. And then the final thing, final bullet, while these plans are in motion, they will continue to attack exchanges any way they can for quote unquote protecting consumers by making accessing exchanges harder or more onerous. Legislation to make self-custody illegal, etc. We've seen a few older and smaller U.S. servicing exchanges get shut down over the last year, and I expect them to start attacking Kraken and Gemini as well. It's crystal clear they're working towards an agenda to shut down crypto as a whole. To be honest, I don't give a shit if it's because of the herder global banking cabal, or, oh, hell, the USD is going to collapse if we don't try to shut this down, or I'm old and stupid and I hate crypto keeper blockchain technology, because the reasons are irrelevant. Just know that they're working with a coordinated plan here, and Ethereum is on the hit list. Be realistic about the struggles that are coming. Jake Chervinsky on the Bankless podcast laid it out perfectly, and I'll summarize very quickly what he said, which is basically this. They go after the very smallest low-hanging fruit they can because the precedent builds the precedent, and they can keep ratcheting up and keep ratcheting it up. And so at the end of the day, it really needs to end up being that it's just going to be a political will at some point. And then beyond that, it's like, who's going to hang on? So it's an exciting time. I think the very fact that it's all in the news every day now, we got our wish, right? We got our wish. They're talking about us. And that, because it is a threat. The government hates competition. And if they only cared about jobs, and if they cared about making taxes, and if they cared about putting some guardrails out there, we could make a real big pile of money happen in the United States. I mean, we're U.S. centric, I guess, when I say that. But anyway, anybody else want to jump in on that?
Yeah, I was going to comment exactly what you said about Jake, and that we need to go on offense. We too can pick the lowest hanging fruit and ratchet up the precedent, right?
Yep. Stop acting like you can't get a hold of your congressperson. In fact, Coinbase has a really sweet list. Maybe we should put a day on the calendar. Maybe this is what we do if we decide to make Ethfinance go dark, is those 2 days, we don't fucking open up Reddit and we open up that list that Coinbase made and we start emailing and calling our politicians. Because I bet if everyone in here spent an hour one day, just one day, we could do something. So I don't know. Maybe that's the goal. Maybe we just shut up Reddit and go.
You can definitely leave a placeholder instead of the general discussion, and like one, point people to where, if there's security news, where to go find it in case there's an emergency, and then two, like some other suggested activities. Go touch grass. Go call your congressperson, etc.
Throw the ball with Timmy.
Exactly. Tell your wife you love her.
Oh, she's on a cruise. She left.
Okay.
She's going to be on a cruise.
She's abandoned you
on our anniversary. So the poor woman is going to be stuck out at sea for 6 days, and I get to hang out by the fire pit all by myself with as much beer and debauchery as I want. Not a bad play.
There's plenty of beer and debauchery on the cruise ship.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to probably take my daughter.
She'll be hanging out on the Lido deck.
Yeah, I'll be on the Lido deck. Hey, honey, call me from the Lido deck. Actually, Lee, don't. Beautiful. All right, we'll move on. This is our last post. 696 ETH reflects on a 1-year-old ratio reminder. Wow. A few weeks ago, I received a reminder to my sale of majority of my BTC to ETH. At that time in 2022, Bitcoin was at 30K, ETH at 2, the ratio at 0.067. 2023 prices. BTC 26, ETH at 1800, ratio at 0.67. So was the decision good? Some quick reflections. Sorry, I'm trying to burp. I just drank some LaCroix here. I haven't started drinking yet. I was kidding about that. bullet point, due to prices and ratios being really similar, the trade has ended up being neutral. However, there's taxes. Hence, I ended up losing like 20-ish%, and it will probably end up being around 30 to 35% long term. So one of the cool things for me right now is that I could borrow against my assets on Ethereum, even my ENS digits. I couldn't do that on Bitcoin. I would have needed to wrap it, which would have been a tax event. So while it was possible, it was not practical. Borrowing might end up saving me 5 to 10% long term. We'll see. On top of my Ethereum assets, I have an option to get yield now. The yield is really crucial because it means I have an option of getting something without sacrificing my stack and cashing out. This leads me to my next point. My latest variation of the initial crypto plan was to cash out into USD or stocks, just away from the Bitcoin, because I needed to have money somehow to pay for stuff. There were not many Bitcoin developments. Yes, it started being accepted here and there, mostly digitally. Anyway, that's not the point. But the most useful case to me was being able to send money quick and fast, relatively cheaply. And then it goes on. Boy, you've laid out so many great things here. There's actually something here other than just pure money and just waiting for the next halving, next bull run in hopes of more money. In the years before, I actually had people in real life ask me, why would they buy Bitcoin and what utility it had? And for the decent amount of recent years, Bitcoin's community's proposition wasn't for P2P, which initially was so cool for me, but more just a hodl. This to have more money, and that's it. Yeah, staring at the number go up, Bitcoin land. It's getting pretty long. Wow, this is a banger. I'm going to go down to your last one. And if you made it till this point, here's my last important point. I've been trying to figure out the differences between my experiences within Bitcoin and Ethereum communities. To me, it was mostly coming down to some social related movements. For example, seeing the snippets of BTC conferences during 2021 was so cringe that I didn't want to be related with that sort of people anyway. God dang, you are so spot on with that. So I'm going to end this here, and thanks for coming to my imperfect TED Talk. All the best, 696.ETH. You're a freaking gem, dude. Thanks for sharing that. That is our last Doot of the week. Yeah, bravo to you. If you can't see us, Matt and I are clapping for you, my friend. So let's wrap it up. Matt, do you have any parting thoughts or wisdom you'd like to bestow upon us before we wrap this up?
No wisdom, I don't think. I like that last post by 696. I hope it does work out for you. That's my bet as well on the. Yeah, too bad the ratio is flat though, and taxes have maybe changed the outcome for now. But it just reminds me, like, yeah, the community stuff. When people ask, oh, what do you work on? This, and it's either, catch-all's crypto or blockchain, or not a catch-all, but the more prominent Bitcoin. I always like to say, so if just, hey, what do you work on? I say, do you know Ethereum? Like, that's how I like to start. You want to get the word out there and really distinguish. It's not, it's not a generalized thing. It's Ethereum. That's what I don't know if you feel that way, 696, reading between your posts, but that's I want to push that social movement and give that in people's minds. So it just reminds me of that. But no wisdom, as you said, a lot of big brains here, JT. So thank you for having me. It's been really fun, and maybe I ought to start lurking even more and participating, perhaps. So yeah, thanks. Really appreciate it.
We're here every Friday too. Feel free to jump in the chat, and we'd love to hear your voice. And as always, you're welcome to stop by the daily anytime and drop your updates for Taiko. And so Matt Finestone from Taiko.XYZ, Taiko.XYZ, bookmark it, check it out. It's an EVM, ZK-EVM Ethereum-equivalent. All right, that's the key, right? Not just compatible, equivalent. And so the tools are very common to use, just like you would for building stuff on Ethereum. So legend, man. Really, really honored to have you. All right, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Stick around for after the live stream because we continue the party in the hotel lobby on Discord for a bonus hour of popcorn. We're going to talk about what we're going to do with Ethfinance coming up next week. It's a fun place to let loose on Discord when the parents aren't watching on YouTube. Hi, Mom. On behalf of Ethfinance and the EVMavericks DAO, my name is JT. Cheers and big hugs from Kansas City.